Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna be doing this fun skull butterfly look, and I just started out by mixing some foundation with some face paint, white clown face paint, and I set my face with powder. Now I am just using a brown pencil and sketching out everything. I use my face a lot as guidelines, like the outer corner as the line, the inner corner as the inner part that divides the butterfly. Went all the way up to my forehead, went down, there you can see the division in the center, and then I grabbed all of my cheek around. Here I am doing the two divisions you have to do of the outer edges for your butterfly, for those details. Now for the drippings, I just did like a scoop and then a little blob at the end. So that's how I did those and sketched them out. Also did some loose droppings as well. Now I'm just doing some loose cracks all around. I did cracks all over my face in random spots. So here I just did one close to the butterfly, and then I did some in my forehead and all that. Here I am sketching out the temple area and the cheekbone as well for the skull part. Remember, this is half skull, half a butterfly. Here I sketched that out, then I opened it out for the jaw. You can see there that that's where it's gonna go, like the opening for the mouth. And I closed it off there. I did like a little kind of like a balloon shaped thing. Then I did the teeth, just straight lines, and my top lips and bottom lips as well, and I stretched them out all the way out. Here for the eye socket, I used my eyebrow as the top part to sketch out from. Then I went all the way in, kind of like if I was contouring my nose, used as a template my under eyes, and then I did like small crack in the outer edge. Also did some cracks down my neck. These I made them really long. The trick for doing these are just squiggly lines, and you just branch them out. Here I'm just using some black eyeliner. Black liner is great. You do not need high-end or expensive products to do looks like this. So I'm just using a black gel liner, and I am just marking down everything. So here I am just filling up the little droppings. I say droppings, it sounds like bird poop or something. I am so sorry if you're offended. So here I'm just doing like the, I don't know what to call these, but they're like little stuff dropping down. So did that little one at the end, and I just sketched out and went on top of all the lines I've been doing. The only ones I didn't touch were the inner ones for the outer edges. Now for the cracks on the skull, it's the same thing you were doing with the brown pencil. Just wiggle the lines out and you can have an amazing crack. So here I'm just filling in that eye socket, you know, just lining it out and getting that perfect round shape. And I say perfect, but it doesn't really have to be perfect. A skull is not perfect, so you can really do squiggly lines and all that. And we have to blend a lot here, so you know, sometimes it looks better when it's not perfectly looking. Here I am just following those lines I sketched out with the brown. I just used a brown brow pencil, and here, you know, I'm filling in the little balloon shaped thing I did there. And here I'm just drawing in the lines. I actually forgot drawing in some of the top ones, but I then noticed and did it at the end. But I just lined those, and now here I'm just following those cracks. As you can see, just wiggling them out. They are not going to be perfect, I guess. They're not going to be perfect straight lines. They're just wiggly lines, and it makes them look so cool. It's the same technique as doing veins. So it's just wiggling them out and stretching them out. Now here I'm just using a light gray shadow. This is like doing a cut crease or a smoky eye. You go with light colors and then intensifying them. So here I'm just using a light gray shadow, and then I started packing on more gray shadows and darker gray shadows. I'm just sticking to that outer line there. I'm using that darker gray, just smoking it out. I'm just trying to kind of pack it on those edges, and then I grab a clean brush that you'll see me grab soon. As you can see there, I just grab a clean brush and blend it out to make it look smooth. I didn't want it to look super pitch black. I wanted it to look kind of, I don't know, kind of cool, I guess. That's why I didn't do full black eye. I just kind of did that smoky effect. I did some kind of like wrinkles underneath, like I just added more black. Here you can see me adding even more black to intensify the color. And here I'm just blending the lid out to make it look like it's smoking out. Here you can see me blending in more gray on my lid area. This does not need to look perfect, guys. You know, it's kind of messy, but it looks so beautiful at the end all together. Here I'm doing the same thing I did to the eye, intensifying grays and just blending them out, going with light gray shades and then intensifying with darker gray shades. It's pretty simple. I only used 2 shadows, a light gray and a dark gray, and the black liner, which I barely touched. I just retouched the black sometimes in some areas, but here you can see me just blending out those grays, barely touching the eyeliner. So here I'm grabbing kind of like a muddy cool tone brown and doing some hollows on the skull area. Didn't want to use black because I'm using a lot of black and it's kind of heavy and overpowering. So just to have a different kind of color to do those hollows, I used that brown I did in the top of the cheeks and also in that jawline here in the between the temple and the forehead. Here I'm also kind of shading. The way I shade is I just leave a little space in between the actual butterfly and the little drops, and did that down there. I just kind of packed the color and then blended it out. That's the technique I use. I just packed on color and blended downwards, not inward, because then it won't look like a shadow. So here I'm just shadowing with some gray the cracks. I am switching the colors because it's what I'm seeing like in the mirror I was just looking and I was like, okay, let me do this now, so I was switching a lot, so you'll see me switch a lot, so I'm really sorry for that. So I'm using the gray now for the cracks. So here to blend out those cracks and give the cracks shadow, since they're black, I'm using light grays and dark grays. Here I'm using the white to do the teeth. I actually mixed a little bit of kind of black in it, and I was like, oh darn it, I want a full white teeth. But I actually really liked how it turned out with the gray teeth. So if you want to do them full on white, that's amazing for you. If you want to do them all gray, it's all in your hands. You know, you can do it however you want. Here I'm just using a little bit of white body paint, face paint, and lightly highlighting in between. See the spaces I left in between that I was telling you about? There's where you're going to add your highlight. Here I'm adding some in the temple area. Here I'm using a smaller brush and going in between the butterfly and the shadowing and adding that highlight. Here is where it comes in handy, leaving that space in between, because you already know where your highlight's going to go. So I just applied it and would tap it down with my finger. I mean, use those tools God gave you. Use your hands. Here I'm adding a little bit of highlight underneath there. Adding some highlight in between those cracks. And here I'm just adding some shadow down there, blending it out with a big fluffy brush. Here I'm just doing like little circles in the outermost rim of the butterfly. Here we did 2 rims, as you can see, so we're gonna go in the outermost and doing like little circle shapes. And of course they do not have to be perfect. I'm doing that in the top part as well. Now here, just doing straight lines and a little curve at the top. So just a straight line, curve at the top. It's really simple. So you just keep a straight line and curve it at the top. And yeah, that's basically what I did in the second rim. And in the top one, I did straight lines as well, but instead of going like an outer curve, it's an inner curve, and to make it look different. Now for the color, what I did is I grabbed bright yellows, bright orange, bright pink, hot pink, and some blue, and I tapped it in with my finger to get the most color out of the shadows I was using. And remember, all of the products will be listed down below, so check them out there. So I just tapped it all in, and I grabbed a small little brush. I tried to clean it in between colors, but they were so bright they just stained it, and I blended them out that way. Then I grabbed some white face paint, and I did little circles in the second rim. Then here I'm highlighting little drops, just doing a little curve at the bottom circle and one straight in the line, not going all the way up, and in that little one as well. Then I'm grabbing some black liner as well, and I started to do just like the cracks, wiggly lines. They are all different. I really liked how mine turned out because I did really different lines in the butterfly, and they turned out to be pretty nice. It's kind of like doing a wing liner, but easier because you can actually kind of make it wiggly, I guess. So that's how it turned out. Just wiggly lines all across the butterfly. Now I'm just going back in with the black and lining out those outer lines, the ones that shape the butterfly, also the ones in the outermost rim and the second rim, to make them all nice and sharp. Here in the nose, I left my nose blank so I could do that at the end because I already had a mess of a lot of things. So here I just lined it with black liner, and then I grabbed my finger and I blended it out, and that's how the nose turned out. Here on the other side, I'm doing kind of like the body of the butterfly. This doesn't have an exact shape either. I just did kind of like a big blob of wiggly lines and then connected them all together, and it turned out pretty nice. So, you know, you can just do a really, I don't know, kind of weird blob you would like to do. Here I'm just, you know, getting some black liner and waterline. Here I am again going over those black lines to make them even darker and pretty amazing. For me, this is super satisfying to get them all nice and black again. So just darkening it is key in this look I'm doing. Here I just blended some more black into those edges. This is my favorite part. I just grabbed some shadow in my fingers and I started to rub them all the way down my neck, and yeah, I just used the same shadows I used in the butterfly. Here in the lips, I'm doing the same thing, going from darker to lightest. You know, I went from blue to hot pink and the yellow, and then I did kind of like a swoop, like if I was drooling color. I did my hair, I got some curls done. I just used a pencil and a flat iron to do those. Pretty impressive. If you want a tutorial for that, comment down below. Here I'm just contouring with some color in that side, and the other side I use some gray. In the nose, I'm using some of that cool tone brown, and here I'm using some glass glue and gluing on some gems because I thought this look would look amazing with some glitters. So thank you guys for watching, and bye!